Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guest. As we may know, we do have a little bit of a budget problem in this country. It seems like that our government likes to spend more money than we like to give it. It's getting a little worse and worse as time is going on here. What if I told you that there's a group of 15 million Americans that want to cut the government a check of $3.5 billion every single year, but the government doesn't want it? What I'm talking about is the online poker industry. The government in the last year has shut it down. And meanwhile, there's a dichotomy of it because while the government has shut it down, poker has gone through an unbelievable explosion in the last 9 years. So how did we get to this point? First, the rise of poker. How has poker become so popular in the last 10 years? 3 reasons. First is that in 2003, there was a company called the World Poker Tour, and they developed whole cameras for TV. So what happens was that you could put your 2 cards in a final table of a tournament above the glass, and you could see the cards. So before, from 1980 to 2002, poker on TV would be kind of guessing what the guys were playing. And as if watching poker wasn't boring enough, this was incredibly boring. When you could see the cards, it made it a lot more exciting to watch. This happened at about the same time as 2 websites, PokerStars and Party Poker, became very viable and popular, and they became trusted among people in the United States. These were not companies in the United States, they were offshore. Party Poker was a UK-based company, a publicly traded company, and PokerStars was a company in Jamaica. During that time, about the same time as those companies were becoming popular, a guy by the name of Chris Moneymaker won the World Series of Poker. Pretty amazing how a guy named Moneymaker won the World Series of Poker. Not only that, he won by winning, he had never played a live tournament in his life. The World Series of Poker is a $10,000 buy-in. He got in from winning a $39 satellite tournament on PokerStars.com, of course. So, he won $2.5 million in that tournament. So people around the country, especially let's say a 22-year-old college kid watching this, that is really exciting. Like, wow, I could do that. Why not? So just a ton of people flooded into the market, and these sites became incredibly popular. All the way up until 2006, which kind of begins our fall. That was the peak of online poker and poker in general was 2006, and then it started going down. The first reasoning was something called the Safe Harbor Act that was passed by Congress in 2006. The Safe Harbor Act had nothing to do with poker, obviously, but as our government likes to do, it was slipped in at the last minute to ban any online transactions from companies based abroad. It had nothing to do with poker in general. Poker in general was not made illegal, as you can probably tell, because if you were to take a drive along the 101 in the Bay Area, you'll pass 10 to 12 different poker houses all the way up. So poker itself wasn't illegal. It was the online transaction that was done. So the publicly traded company, Party Poker, bailed out of the U.S. But PokerStars and a new company called Full Tilt Poker became the 2 most popular companies in the U.S. They were making in between $2 to $4 billion per year up until 2011. An incredible amount of money just from online poker. So about a year ago, the government came in and shut down these 2 websites in the United States, the Department of Justice. They call it Black Friday, which is a little intense for online poker, but it was a big event. And what happened during that time was that it became known that Full Tilt Poker was a complete Ponzi scheme. People were putting in their money, and as people were putting in their money and had accounts, sometimes up to $100,000 for each person, they were taking that money and spending it. There was a group of 30 owners, and they were just pulling the money out. So when the Department of Justice came down and said, okay, no more online poker in the United States, well, there was about $600 million worth of players' accounts in the United States. They had $60 million in their account total to pay out. Even me personally, I had $150 on there. Gone. Gone. Now, I mean, there was times where I had a lot more on there than that, so $150 didn't seem that bad, but people, $50, $60, $100,000 on there. So it was a complete black eye in the whole industry. It made people completely scared to do it. So that's why we're at the point now where people want to. They want to go out of their way and say, hey, listen, please make this legal. please make this regulated in the United States. Let companies like Caesars or MGM or Las Vegas Sands, who have millions of dollars, billions of dollars in backing, come up with sites where people can get on and play. Now, to conclude, there are definitely pros and cons of online gambling. There is, and the government makes the claim that, listen, gambling is not something we want to condone in every single state. It's not something we want to have. We don't want widespread problems of gambling issues among college kids, young adults, and all the way up through all adults. Now, there's two problems with this. One is that gambling is legal in almost every single state. In California, there's tons of casinos everywhere. It's more one of those things where gambling is legal in places that really need the money, it seems like. Well, I would say that our federal government really needs the money at this point, so I don't think that's true. And second, in terms of poker itself, you could definitely make the argument that poker is more of a skill game than just blackjack or something else. You're playing other people. You're not playing the house that has a decided 52% advantage on this. So I think that those things combined, and the fact that our government needs the money, 15 million people play online poker before Black Friday, 55 million people play poker in the United States. There's definitely a market for it. I think that if 55 million people play poker, there aren't that many cases of people going off the deep end with it, and I think it'd be a good idea for the government to legalize it. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.